Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm going to be bringing you guys a 14-team half PPR mock draft from the second overall pick. Now, this video was asked and requested through the comment section from Jackson Barr, a longtime subscriber of mine, so thank you very much to him. If you guys have a mock draft that you would like me to do, please make sure to leave them down below in the comment section down below. So let's get right into this. This is a 2020 fantasy football mock draft from the 14th slot, for the 14-team draft, second slot, half PPR. Like I said, guys, this is going to be a pretty solid mock draft. This is on fantasypros.com. They're not a sponsor of mine, so I'm not going to mention their name again, but that's where I'm drafting. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 6 bench spots are the roster construction. So let's get right into this mock draft here. And we are not going to be using the new draft room experience because the new draft room experience is like an old draft room experience because it fucking sucks. Now let's get right into this. Now the first pick of the draft was Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey. Now it's going to be very typical in every single draft. I would say in about 90 to 95% of drafts when it comes draft time in August and September, you're going to be seeing Christian McCaffrey being the first overall selection pretty much every single time. I see no reason why, unless McCaffrey's leg is broken. Even with a broken leg, I may pick him over Saquon because I think he is that much of a beast. He is going to be the guy going at the 101 in pretty much every single draft. Standard half PPR, full PPR. Now, it is our selection at the 102, and to me, this is a very cut and dry pick for me. I love Saquon Barkley here. Saquon Barkley was my #1 overall pick last season. Sure, that was wrong. Christian McCaffrey was better. Saquon was just not the greatest, but that's because he was banged up and he was hurt a lot of the year. To read his stats real quick from 2019, he played in 13 games, 217 carries, over 1,000 yards, 52 receptions, 438 receiving yards, and 8 total touchdowns. So down from his rookie season, but 3 last games, I think he would have put up a great season yet. Again, Daniel Jones was performing actually not too terribly. A lot of people were hating on Daniel Jones, me included, thinking Daniel Jones would be garbage. Now his nickname is still Danny Fumbles, but I still think that he is going to be a good enough quarterback, and they're going to get a much better O-line in this season. I think that they go ahead and draft an O-lineman with their first overall selection in the draft, so I think that Saquon Barkley is going to be an amazing pick here at the 102. Nothing against picking him there. I did not mean to click on that. So as we look down here at the draft board, we are going to be drafting up against the computer, so it's going to go much faster than a normal draft, but it makes it a lot easier for me to explain everything that went down. So after we went with Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook came off the board, followed by Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Ezekiel Elliott, Devontae Adams, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Chris Godwin, Tyreek Hill, Leonard Fournette, Nick Chubb, Julio Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Austin Eckler, George Kittle, Lamar Jackson, Travis Kelce, Kenny Golladay, Chris Carson, and Mark Andrews. So the first rookie to come off the draft board was Jonathan Taylor, and that is notable. Jonathan Taylor's 40 time was amazing. He had an amazing combine, so he elevated himself up to be a fantasy football amazing player, given he is drafted to the correct team. Right now, Jonathan Taylor, if he goes to a team like the Dolphins or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we know for sure he's going to start and get those reps. I think Jonathan Taylor does have the potential to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick in fantasy football in 2020. Will I take that risk? In a 14-team league, I am not too sure, but in like a 12, 10-team league, I think once we figure out the landing spot of him, it's much easier to tell what to do there. But Jonathan Taylor in the 2nd round is not too surprising to me. Now, the biggest surprise so far that I have seen here is Ezekiel Elliott not going at the #3 or 4 spot. Drafting Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook ahead of him, to me, is a bit asinine. Dalvin Cook is an injury-prone guy. I know, sure, he didn't get too hurt this season, but he still got hurt. Alvin Kamara, I think he's going to be great, but Zeke, to me, is just so much safer. The Cowboys have the best offensive line in the league, or one of the best offensive lines in the league. You know the Cowboys like to run the ball, so Ezekiel Elliott going at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th pick in the 1st round is amazing value for that guy. And another guy whose value I want to really talk about here is Nicholas Chubb at the 201. What amazing value that is for Nicholas Chubb. Now, the new offensive coordinator / head coach of this team is going to be a man who turned the Vikings into a run-heavy offense, Stefanski, okay? Now, why would he not do the same thing with Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb has the talent. They're going to run the rock a zillion fucking times. And Nick Chubb at the 201 is a certified steal. Now, 3 tight ends did end up going in the 2nd round. 1 quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I would not do that. Do not draft a quarterback or a tight end in a 14-team league before like the 7th or 8th round. In my opinion, that is just not a good idea unless the value is there for you. Do not do it. In a 14-team league, finding running backs is going to be impossible off the waiver wire, so you need to be drafting these running backs here early in the draft. I don't see any reason why you would do that. Now, I like the fact that Fantasy Pros has updated and Josh Jacobs is now of the Las Vegas Raiders. So now is our pick at the 213. We're going to have to wait 2 more picks, and that is going to be our selection again. So I think right now we're looking running back or wide receiver, like I said. So DJ Moore is the top wide receiver still available, followed by Odell Beckham Jr., Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Courtland Sutton, AJ Brown. According to the website, personally, it's DJ Moore, and then there's a tier break there for me. Now, the running back position, Josh Jacobs is still available of the Las Vegas Raiders, followed by Todd Gurley, Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon. So right now, to me, I'm going to go running back. I'm going to believe in the running back I select here, and that is Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, if we click on him real quick, we can see his stats from 2019. Now, a lot of people did not buy in the Josh Jacobs coming into this season. Coming out of Alabama, a lot of people did not believe in Josh Jacobs. They thought that he was going to be some type of a fraudulent pick. Now, he did go to the Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. He played 13 games in 2019, 242 attempts, over 1,150 rushing yards, 20 catches for 166 receiving yards, and 7 total touchdowns. So he put up an amazing season his rookie year, given he did end up getting hurt, so that could be something that is worrisome, but you just go ahead, you fuck around, you draft his backup later in the draft, and you are good. Josh Jacobs put up a phenomenal year. Sure, he is not going to be a pass-catching back. This is a half PPR league, so that obviously would elevate him much higher, but the guys below him, I do not trust. Todd Gurley, that motherfucker has arthritis knee. You want to know who else has arthritis in your family? Likely someone who is 80 years old. You cannot trust Todd Gurley even in a one-season form. Unless you get him like the 4th round or maybe even the 3rd round, I would kind of find value in that. But you know he's going to have those games where he just does not get the ball. Miles Sanders, to me, is a very confusing pick. I liked him late last season in drafts, but now in the 3rd round, value is very, very high for a guy that I believe is going to be stuck in a RBBC system, a running back by committee system. That is what the Eagles typically run. That is what the Eagles always use. Unless all the guys around him die yet again, I am not sure Miles Sanders will return the value of a 3rd round pick or a 2nd round pick in this draft. So I'm going to select Josh Jacobs here out of the Las Vegas Raiders. So after we selected Joshua Jacobs, Todd Gurley came off the board, followed by DJ Moore. So the wide receiver we wanted there ended up coming off the board. Out of 2 rounds, we have Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. A very solid start to our team. So we have our 2 running backs selected. So now we're going to go for the wide receivers. Odell Beckham Jr., Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Courtland Sutton are all still available here. Now, my thoughts on Odell are very strong. If you guys are new to the channel, please click that subscribe button. So I'll tell you why I don't like Odell Beckham Jr. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. is one of those guys who I have never liked. He's one of those guys that's a diva. He's one of those guys who thinks he's bigger than the game. After the game, he'll tell the other quarterback, come get me. Come get you a go fuck yourself, Odell Beckham Jr. I do not like you. I do not trust you. You have not proved shit in Cleveland. Like I said, I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be a very run-heavy team in 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and stay away from Odell Beckham Jr. Now, there is a curious case here for a guy like Keenan Allen, a guy who's likely going to have it. He's 100% going to have a new quarterback, a guy that is not named Phil Rivers. I think that could be amazing for Keenan Allen. Allen Robinson, the same thing goes there. Will it be Kissing Titties Mitchell Trubisky? Will it be a new guy over there in Chicago? But to me, I think right here is where I would select Keenan Allen. I think he definitely has some upside in 2020 with a new quarterback, given it could be Herbert, it could be Tua, it could be Love, it could be some veteran type of quarterback that they bring in there. It could be famous Jameis Winston. In that case, I love Keenan Allen here at the 302. So now, when you're picking in a 14-team league, you have to understand that when you're at the 2 spot, you're going to be waiting ages to pick pretty much. Obviously, on the swing, you pick again, and then you're going to have to wait a zillion years to pick again. So after we went with Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon came off the board, followed by Le'Veon Bell, Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Odell Beckham Jr., A.J. Green, Miles Sanders, Mark Ingram, Devontae Parker, Courtland Sutton, James Conner, Carry On My Wayward Son, Zach Ertz, A.J. Brown, Kenyon Drake, Pat Mahomes, Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Devin Singletary, Calvin Ridley, David Montgomery, Tyler Lockett, and Austin Hooper. So 2 quarterbacks have currently been selected through 4 rounds of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tight ends. Now, Pat Mahomes in the 4th round is actually decent value in a 14-team league. While I likely would not have made that selection in a 14-team league, I could see a reason to do it. That is honestly not that bad of a pick. Starting your team off with Hopkins, Cooper, Parker, Pat Mahomes is kind of solid, but you kind of need a running back there, but that's okay with me. Now, it is our selection. Now, actually, I want to talk about one more guy back here, and that is who was selected. Where is he at? Mr. Melvin Gordon right after I selected at the 302. At the 303 was Melvin Gordon. Now, Austin Eckler is going to sign a deal with the LA Chargers. Does that mean Melvin Gordon leaves? Does that mean Melvin Gordon stays? I'm not sure, but I'd much rather have Austin Eckler. That's why he went in the second round, and that's why Melvin Gordon went in the third round. All these other picks are kind of normal. James Conner, Kerryon Johnson, would not draft those guys in the third round. Sure, if they fell later, I may believe in them, but right here, I don't think I would trust them. Now, one of my favorite running backs actually did end up falling to me here in the fourth round, or at the what round are we in, guys? I'm blind. At the end of the fourth round. So here we are going to go ahead and fuck around and select one of my favorite running backs. Now, if we're looking at wide receivers, guys like Robert Woods, DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, DK Metcalf, T.Y. Hilton are still available. But there's a running back here that is glaring and calling my name, and that is Marlin Mac. Now, I know, guys, Marlin Mac is not one of those pass-catching backs just like Mr. Josh Jacobs. But I'm going to go ahead and believe in Marlon Mac here. Now, he has never completed a full season in the NFL, 14, 12, and 14 games. In 2019, he got an uptick in touches, 247 touches, over 1,000 rushing yards, 14 receptions for 82 receiving yards, and 8 total touchdowns. Now, I think that Marlon Mac will never be the lead running back. Well, he is going to be the lead running back on the team, but they're always going to use a pass-catching back, so he's never going to get that pass-catching opportunity. But even with that said, Marlon Mac is a very safe pick here in the back of the fourth round. He was going much higher last year and performed pretty well, so I think that Marlon Mac will be a guy that I love targeting here at the end of the fourth round, near the fifth round. So after we went with Marlon Mac, Robert Woods came off the board, followed by DJ Chark. So we ended up getting sniped on both the receivers that I actually would have preferred to have drafted there in the fourth round. Now, obviously, we have to go wide receiver here. Adam Thielen, DK Metcalf, T.Y. Hilton, Scary Terry, McLaurin, Jarvis Landry, Michael Gallup, John Brown, all still available. To me, guys, I don't trust Adam Thielen. I don't think I ever will. So I'm going to go with a guy that is a bit more risky in Scary Terry McLaurin. I like DK Metcalf as well, but I think I go Scary Terry here. Last season in his rookie campaign, 14 games for 58 total receptions on 93 targets for 990 yards and 7 touchdowns. This man was the bright star of the Washington Redskins, who were god-fucking awful. But I believe in 2020 they emerge and play a decent amount better. I think that Dwayne Haskins somehow forgot to throw to his college teammate Terry McLaurin. I think he will be much more accurate in 2020. I love Scary Terry McLaurin here at the 5-0 fucking 2. Now, let me just tell you my gripes against Adam Thielen here real quick before I select him. There, you might be thinking, why, Nick, did you not go with Adam Thielen? Well, in 2019, hurt. And he didn't play that good. I know you see the last couple of seasons, he had over 1,000 yards, but Kirk Cousins seems to be throwing the ball more to Stephon Diggs. I mean, if they're both playing, it's so worrisome. I don't know what happened, so I would just stray away from both of them and just pivot to a guy like Scary Terry, who I think has tons of upside here at the 5-0-2. So after we went with Scary Terry McLaurin at the 5-0-2, Adam Thielen came off the board, followed by Christian Kirk, Darren Waller, the Walrus, T.Y. Hilton, Kareem Karate Kick Hunt, Sony Michel, DK Metcalf, Raheem Mostert, Phillip Lindsay, Michael Gallup, James White, Jarvis Landry, Deshaun Watson, Evan Ingram, Kyler Murray, Hunter Henry, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, A. Bizzle, Damian Williams, Darius Geist, Devontae Freeman, Jameis Winston, John Brown. Notice how 2 quarterbacks went in the first 4 rounds, and then in the 6th round, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks go. Now, typically, guys, that is what is going to be happening in your drafts. Someone's going to pick a quarterback, and then the other guy behind him shits his pants. He's like, oh, fuck my asshole. I am going to get screwed over here if I don't draft the quarterback. So they panic and they draft the quarterback. You know what you do at that point? Then you pivot off of the quarterbacks because you know a lot of quarterbacks are going to be taken, and you just wait. Right now, in the 6th round, I am going to wait on quarterback and on tight end as well. Currently, let's see here. This is the best way to see on this website. You click on roster watch. 8 tight ends have been selected thus far in the draft. So we're going to continue to wait on tight ends. Tight ends still available down here, I believe. I'm sorry, guys. I am not very used to this website, even though I've done 1,000 mock drafts on here. Tight ends still available. Jared Cook, Tyler Higbee, Noah Fant. That's like punting at the position. You just continue to wait in the draft if that continues to happen. So right here, we're going to look wide receiver yet again here. And a wide receiver that I love is still here, sitting here for me, calling my name. Pick me, Nick. Pick me. And that is Deebo Samuel. It's not Deebo Samuel. It's not. You don't know who it actually is? It's Tyler. Yeah, Boyd. Tyler Boyd and Joe Burrow. AJ Green's going to be back, sure, but AJ Green is going to get hurt, lacing his cleats up before the season even starts. Tyler Boyd is going to destroy the NFL. He has had 2 nasty seasons in a row. Let's see. In 2018, 14 games, 76 receptions, 108 targets, 7 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. In 2019, 148 targets, 90 receptions, 16 games, 1,046 yards, and 5 touchdowns. This man was dealing with some Garbo quarterbacks, and then when Andy Dalton was playing, he played a bit better. Tyler Boyd, I should say, is going to be good. No matter who the quarterback is, he's going to be good whether A.J. Green is in there or not. It's going to be Burrow. Doesn't matter if A.J. Green's in there. I love Tyler Boyd. He is a late-round wide receiver that I'm going to be targeting in every single draft. Tyler Boyd is a guy that I'm going to throw my flag of approval. I'm going to go like Nick Bosa, go, boom. Tyler fucking Boyd at the 6-13. After we selected Tyler Boyd, Jared Cook came off the board, followed by Ronaldo Jones. Now the running backs are very spry here, guys. That's why you take 3 in the first couple of rounds. That is just why you do it, because shit like this happens. Now, Marlon Mac won't necessarily be our flex. Likely would be Tyler Boyd, and we go with the 2 running backs we have. But if one of our running backs ends up getting hurt, we have a guy that I like. Now, we are in the 7th round. I know Jonathan Taylor went early, but none of the other rookie running backs have went thus far, and I think that is going to be something that does not happen. I think right here, someone would fuck around and would have already selected Swift off the board or something like that. So we're not going to pick any of those guys. We're going to select the guy I actually want. Now, I know I said don't draft a quarterback until the 8th round, but my boy is still here in the 8 or at the 7:02, and that's Josh Allen. Josh Allen is like besides Jameis Winston, he might be and Lamar Jackson, he might be and Pat Mahomes, he might be the most electric quarterback to watch on the field. 16 games in 2020, a 85 quarterback rating, 3,000 passing yards, 9 interceptions to 20 touchdowns and 8 rushing TDs and 500 rushing yards. This motherfucker is going to get over 500 rushing yards, over 8 rushing touchdowns, over 3,000 yards in 2020, and you can quote that. I love Josh Allen. This Bills team is trying to win now. Josh Allen is going to be making plays. He's going to throw the ball to the guy, but he's like Jameis Winston. If Jameis Winston, instead of throwing the ball to the other guy, just throws it 5 yards over them. Instead of throwing picks, Josh Allen just heaves it, and it goes like 5 yards over the guy who probably could have scored a touchdown, but that's okay because Josh Allen is going to be great for fantasy football in 2020. Now, after we selected Mr. Josh Allen, Matthew Snapback came off the board, followed by his teammate Marvin Jones, Jordan Howard, Aaron Rodgers, Deebo Samuel, Drew Brees, DeAndre Swift, Darius Slayton, David Johansen, J.K. Dobbins, Matt Ryan, Brandon Cooks, Sterling Shepard, Carlos Hyde, Will Fuller, Tariq Cohen, Robbie Anderson, Alshon Jeffrey, Duke Johnson, Mike Williams, Latavius Murray, Jamal Williams, Jameson Crowder, Hollywood Brown. Now, like I said, maybe this is their ADP. Maybe a guy like Dobbins, a guy like Swift goes in the 7th round. I don't believe so. I think someone pulls the trigger in like the 5th round on both of those guys as long as they land in good situations, or even if they land in a situation where it's potential that they could become the starter in 2020. Now, other picks here that are pretty notable here. I like Mike Williams late in the draft. I know last season he did not really perform. Let's click on him real quick. He did not really perform up to anyone's liking. Only 50 receptions, not on 90 targets, 1,000 yards, only 2 touchdowns. He's going to go up way past 2 touchdowns. He's going to perform very strongly in 2020, I believe, with whatever quarterback they bring in there. A great steal late in the draft. Now, currently we have 1, 2, 3 wide receivers and 3 running backs and a quarterback. So we're going to have to draft a running back here. There's going to have to be a selection from the running back position. So I'm going to go down here and scroll down until we can find the rookies, and right here we're just going to draft Cam Akers. Now, Cam Akers is out of FSU, Florida State University. Now, I think he'll be available here. I'm not sure he will be drafted highly enough to go to a team in real life that is going to use him essentially right at the beginning, but if he has potential to play, I love this guy. This man was rushing for like a zillion yards every game behind one of the worst offensive lines I have ever seen in my life. I believe you could you're watching the video, likely you could have played offensive line for this team, and Cam Akers still would run for 5 a carry. This dude was a fucking beast in college. I love Cam Akers here late in fantasy football draft. So at the 8-13, we selected Cameron Akers, followed by Emmanuel Sanders and Carson Wentz. God damn, do I hate Carson Wentz. I have no belief in Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is one of my least favorite players in the NFL. Carson Wentz, He's just a no for me. I just don't trust him. I don't think I'll ever trust him. His injury history glares out to me. His performance glares out to me. Sure, he had a great season last year with no one. And a couple seasons ago, he had a great season before Big Dick Nick Foles took them to win the Super Bowl. I still think Big Dick Nick Foles is the better option over Carson Wentz, but that's just me. If you're an Eagles fan, go ahead and get pissed off in the comments. Oh, Nick, you goddamn dumbass. Carson Wentz is amazing. Yeah, go ahead and sip the Kool-Aid on Carson Wentz just like all your other fans have thus far. Now, we kind of need more running backs, if I'm being honest with you. There's going to be good wide receivers that I like later, but there's also tight ends that I'm going to start to need here. The tight end's still available. See, Cook is the only one who went. Tyler Higbee, Noah Fant, Goddard, still available. So I'm just going to go ahead and punt the position and continue to wait and draft yet another running back. And we're probably just going to draft another rookie running back here, unless another one back here glares out to me. And actually one of them does, and that is Darrell Henderson. Now, I know this may be a bit early for him, and I think it actually is, so we may just wait. Yeah, it's a bit too early for him. We're just going to wait and draft a wide out here. I know I say you got to draft these running backs often and early, but, you know, we're just going to wait here because I think Darrell Henderson will still be there for me. We're going to punt the tight end position, like I said, and we're going to wait till later in the draft to draft a defense or a kicker, so please click that subscribe button down below if you have enjoyed thus far. So we're going to draft a wide out here. Still available at the wide receiver position. We got guys like Anthony Miller, Curtis Samuel, Preston Williams, Deontay Johnson, Golden Tate, Sammy Watkins, John Ross, the Sauce Boss, N'Keal Harry. I like Anthony Miller. I don't like Curtis Samuel, but I love Preston Williams. Now, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, so you can take this with a grain of salt, but I think Preston Williams is amazing. I think Preston Williams has the talent to be the wide receiver 2 on the team for the future. In 8 games, 60 targets, 32 receptions, 428 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, say he plays 16 games, 860-something yards. I'm not good at math, but 800-something yards. He's amazing. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to be an amazing player for the Dolphins. I know typically you don't want to draft players on bad teams, but I think the Dolphins are going to be an okay team. So I think Preston Williams will be worthy of a pick. He's a guy opposite to Devontae Parker that is a very talented wide receiver, and you saw was a very reliable fantasy wide receiver when he was playing in 2019. So I like Preston Williams here late in drafts at the 9:02. So after we selected Preston Williams, Justin Jackson came off the board, followed by Cole Beasley, Rolls-Royce Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Anthony Miller, Deshaun Jackson, Jerry Jeudy, Curtis Samuel, Alexander Madison, C.D. Lamb, Sammy Watkins, Lamar Miller, Chase Edmonds, Justice Hill, Matt Breida, Golden Tate, Justin Jefferson, Rashad Penny, Tyler Higbee, Deontay Johnson, John Ross, Larry Fitz, D. Westbrook. So back here, we see a bunch of rookie wide receivers coming off the board. Jerry Jeudy, C.D. Lamb, Justin Jefferson, all guys that have talent to go in the first round. Likely all those guys go in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Whichever one of these guys lands in a great spot could be amazing. Even if they're not in a great spot, I think whoever lands on the Saints is actually going to be finished as probably a top 20 wide receiver. I know that may sound crazy. I know rookies typically aren't the best wide receivers. Last season, we saw an amazing wide receiver rookie class. Preston Williams is included in that. DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, to just name a few, were fucking amazing. Scary Terry McLaurin. I think that these guys could have a big bust in 2020. Some of these guys are going to bust, but I think that some of these guys are going to be amazing. I like all of those guys. So here's typically where we're just going to say fuck it and draft a tight end because we've punted. We've waited a long time, but I don't want my guy to get stolen. And my guy right here is going to be Noah Fant. Now, him and Mr. Horsecock Drew Lock got it going towards the end of the season. Noah Fant did not have the greatest 2019, but he was a rookie. He finished as the 23rd best tight end in half PPR. Now, he had 16 games, 40 receptions, 66 targets, 562 yards, and 3 total touchdowns, but a lot of this was happening later in the season. He was getting a lot more work later in the season, so I think he continues off strong in 2020. If he sucks, you cut him. You add a new tight end. That's what you do when you draft a tight end late in the draft. This is a quarterback league. It is a 14-team league, so typically in a 14-team league, I say draft a backup quarterback. I know that may sound crazy. That may be contrary to what many people believe. In a 12, 10-team, 18 league, don't draft a backup quarterback, but in a 14-team league, it is going to be hard pressed to find a good quarterback off the waiver wire to start if you're going to be trying to go every other week with someone different. So I would go ahead and just draft 2, and I will do that later in the draft. Right now, we are in dire need of a running back, and our guy that I want is still here in Darrell Henderson. But after we went with Noah Fant, Tony Pollard came off the board, followed by Cameron Newton. Now, Cam Newton, where does he play in 2020? Now, Matt Rule, the coach of the Carolina Panthers, says it is Cam Newton's job. Is that true? Is he capping? Is he lying to us? Who knows? If Cam Newton plays and he can somehow stay healthy, he's going to be amazing. You guys know Cam Newton has the talent to be an amazing fantasy football quarterback, so I trust him here if he plays. But that is definitely a huge risk. But in the 11th round, it's kind of a risk you may want to take. But in a 14-team league, it is a bit too risky for me. But Darrell Henderson, to me, is the guy here. I know Todd Gurley is the head back on the team. I know Malcolm Brown may still somehow get more touches than Darrell Henderson because Sean McVay is just crazy like that. But Darrell Henderson, you saw the speed in 2019 when he was running the ball. He got the ball, 39 attempts, 147 rushing yards, which is 3.8 per carry, 4 receptions, 37 yards, and 0 total touchdowns. So he didn't have an amazing 2019. He's not going to go out there and seem like he's amazing. But out of Memphis, I believe in college, maybe it'll tell me here, he was amazing in college. That guy's college tape will make your eyes blow a load. I know he got hurt at the end of the season, but that's going to be okay with me because I love Darrell Henderson. I think Todd Gurley is a bum. I think Todd Gurley ends up getting hurt, being a sorry-ass running back, and if that happens, I like Darrell Henderson late here in draft. So after we went with big man Darrell Henderson, Peyton Barber at the board, followed by bald man Hunter Renfrow, Ryan Tannehill, Boston Scott, Rock Armstead, Kalen Bellagio, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dallas Goedert, N'Keal Harry, Andy Isabella, Brashad Perriman, Corey No Hands Davis, Big Ben Roethlisberger, Mike Licky Amagasicki, Jonathan Smith, TJ Hawkingod, Jalen Samuels, Chris Herndon, Tyrell Williams, a bunch of defenses. Fuck you, you idiot. Don't draft the defense that early. Kirk Cousins, G. Reg Olson, and Mecole Hardman. Now, if you're new to fantasy football, which I doubt you are because you're watching someone talk about fantasy football in March, but, you know, that's still amazing. I love you regardless. Do not draft a defense until the last 2 picks of the draft or the first 3. Do not do that. Want to know why? Because the defense that you think is going to be the best, you might think the Patriots are going to be the best. They were the first defense selected off the board. They're not going to be the best. That's just typically, it never works that way. It's much easier to just stream every single week, find a new defense off the waiver wire. And I'm going to show you how to draft a defense later in the video when it becomes that time. So now we are actually going to draft probably yet another running back. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receivers. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. We're going to go ahead and get 6 running backs on the roster. And we're just going to go ahead and grab our handcuff, DeAndre Washington, our handcuff for Mr. Josh Jacobs. If Josh Jacobs gets hurt, boom, you slide DeAndre Washington in there, and you're all Gucci. So after we selected DeAndre Washington, Will Dissly came with the board, followed by Nyheim Hines. Now, Will Dissly, you got fucked by Greg Olsen. Third leg Greg Olsen screwed you over because Will Dissly had the potential to be an amazing 2020 late round tight end, but he got fucked over, so we're not going to be picking him here, and I'm not going to be picking him in really any drafts. Now, the quarterbacks still left available are actually not that bad to be our backup. Baker, the Faker Mayfield, Danny Dimes, Jared Goff, Jimmy Guap, Sam Darnold, Tom Brady, Ryan Tannehill, Kiss and Titties, Mitch Trubisky, Horsecock, Drew Lock. I'm going to go here with Danny Dimes, I think. I think that the Browns are going to be a better team, but I think they're more run-heavy, so I'd stay away from Baker. I'd go Danny Dimes. That guy had multiple games being a QB1 in his rookie season. I think that in 2020 he could put up another great campaign, so I'd go with Danny Dimes here late in the draft. And then my last 2 picks are going to be kicker and defense. I will continue to read the picks off the board, though, as they go. So after we went with Danny Dimes, Benny Snell came out the board, followed by Sexy Rexy, David Njoku, Baker Mayfield, Gus Edwards, Jimmy Guap, Ian Thomas, Chris Thompson, 49ers defense, Travis Homer, not Pat Mahomes, Ryan Fitzmagic, LaShawn McCoy, bunch of defenses, Gio Bernard, O.J. Howard, James Washington, a bunch of kickers. So we're going to pick our kicker here. We're going to go with third leg, Greg Zuerlein, and then it's time to pick a defense. So how do you pick a defense, Nick? You waited this whole time for me to tell you. I'll tell you right now. Go on Google. Once the schedules come out for the NFL season, you type in NFL schedule week 1, NFL schedule week 1, and then you look which defense is playing a shitty offense. Boom. You draft them. Then week 2, if they're playing a good offense, you cut their ass, pick a new one up. It's not that complicated. I'm going to make a video in August, which defense to draft. It's going to be very simple. You're going to do that. You're going to have a great time. So to make sure you get that video in August, click that subscribe button. So we went with the Kansas City Chiefs. A bunch of kickers and defenses went. No other players. We got an A-. Who gives a fuck that we got an A-? That's an A+ in my book. Our roster is Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Noah Fant, Marlin Mac, kicker defense, Tyler, Boyd, Cameron Akers, Preston Williams, Darrell Henderson, DeAndre Washington, and Danny dimes. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. It would mean a lot to me. It's going to mean a lot to you because we're going to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. If you ended up enjoying, click that subscribe button. Make sure to click on one of the videos that's going to be on your screen now. Left, right, up, and down. There's going to be a zillion videos. Make sure to click that like button. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers. Make sure to tell your loved ones you love them because any day could be their last. Goodbye, my friends.